Hello, and good evening. Welcome to the Childcare Business Success Show. I'm Julie Bartkus, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here tonight to talk about dealing with inappropriate work behaviors effectively. Now, if you've been in this industry for any amount of time, I know that you are also facing difficult behaviors from staff. If you are, give me an "oh yeah" in the comments. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of information about our prizes tonight that we have to give away. And we're going to get into our topic. So, I've been working in this industry for going on 20 years now. And it always comes up that, staff members are key to us being more successful in the in our childcare programs, in our childcare businesses. But at the same time, just as key as they are also one of the biggest challenges. So if you know these two things, number one, how critically important they are to the success of your program, let me hear from you. And if you also know that they are one of the biggest challenges that you face, let me hear that from you. Because that's what the show is going to be all about. And as you know, if you've been watching any of my live videos, you know that I thrive on interaction. So one of the things that I'd like to encourage you to do is to ask me questions, to participate, leave comments, say hello to Jana and the rest of my team who are here, and say hello to each other, because we want to create a community of childcare owners and directors who are really committed to growth. And dealing with inappropriate work behaviors, as stressful as they are for you, is one of my favorite topics. So please let your questions rip, and I'm going to work on making sure that I check the comment section here below so that we can get your questions answered. And if for some reason I'm unable to get to them on this show, or I miss your question, I will come back through and read the comments, and Jana will also tag me so that I could make sure that I come back and answer your questions. So this is the Childcare Business Success Show. We're starting a little bit later because we've been hearing a little bit of feedback that you folks need a little time to get home from the day and get back on the computer. So we're going to see how this little bit of a later time slot works out, and hopefully this will be one that will work for everyone. So before we get into the topic, let me share with you some really cool prizes that we have. One is for engagement for this evening. One of our lucky viewers will get some of the yummiest brownies on the planet. And if you've gotten brownies from us before, please tell everybody who's tuning in how fantastic these brownies are. So we want your engagement because, like I said, it helps me to make a better presentation to you this evening when I hear what your questions are, what your comments are, knowing that you're relating to what we're saying. I really hate to be cookie cutter and just to give you a bunch of generalized statements. I want it to be tailored to really meet your needs. Okay, so that's one way that you win. So the most engaged person, and John is going to be letting me know who that is before our show wraps up tonight, is going to get a package of the yummiest brownies on the planet. Oh, Mindy, nice to see you here. Hey, Lara, Geraldine, ooh, nice to see you here. I'm going to just take a few moments to say hello before I tell you about the next prize. Susan, can't wait to see you in Boston. Lala, hey there. I hope your vision is going fantastic. All right, who else do we have here? Christ the King Early Childhood Center, welcome. Tutor time. I believe that's Karen, one of our mentorship members. Can't wait to see you in Boston either. Julie, nice to have you here. I think your name is fantastic. Mindy, again, hey JC, nice to see you. Oh, we've got some people I haven't seen in a while tuning in. Fantastic. All right, our second prize is a marketing video that we've been putting together. Hey, Diana, nice to see you. Oh, Diane got brownies too. All right. So it's really good to see everybody here this evening, and this is a critically important topic. Brandon's in the house. Woohoo! All right. And I don't know, what are you guys drinking tonight? Are you like drinking soda, water? I'm here and I've got my fancy wine glass, and I am a fan of kombucha. So don't know if anybody else is. But we usually find that a lot of our clients who follow us are also real big fans of kombucha. So if you like kombucha, let me know. But got to drink it out of a wine glass. That's my rule. So if you see me drinking that, I'm drinking some fermented tea and not really boozing it up on air with you this evening. Diana, nice to see you here. All right, our second prize. And this is for community members. And if you're not yet a member of our, Pinot Noir tonight. All right, I like that. So if you're not yet a member of our group, the Childcare Business Success Group, Jonna, can you please post the link for everybody? I encourage you to come on over and join our free and exclusive community of childcare owners and directors who are dedicated to success. We created a free group, but it is a closed community to make it a little bit more private, where we share every single day different ideas and strategies. The people who are most engaged in that group over a week's period of time wins from us a free marketing video. And you can use this video for whatever you would like, whether it's to celebrate birthdays or to promote an open house. But basically, you put together a PowerPoint presentation and we turn it into a video for you that's engaging and really hits home the points that you want to make. All right, sound good? So that is for our most engaged group member. And Jonna just put the link in there for you. And right, Brandon, sweet tea. Oh, Brandon's drinking sweet tea. Tea is good stuff. I like tea a lot. And Brandon, I think you're joining us in Boston, right? I hope so. Hope you got that all arranged. So for those of you who don't know, we are doing an event, and it's an event that I created called the Create My Dream Team Experience. And it is designed to help you tackle the super problem in the childcare industry, which is staff motivation and issues pertaining to staff and your staff being motivated. And it's just about 2 weeks out, but there is still time. It's actually perfect timing to grab your flight to come on out and join us. And all you have to do is go to rockmychildcare.com, like rock my baby, but rock my childcare, and learn more information about the event. So if you've been digging our show topics, you're absolutely going to love this event. I promise you an experience unlike any others once you come and you join us. And we want to give you your blueprint to help you manage, motivate, and retain great staff. And Jonna, if you can make sure, thanks, Jonna. She dropped the link in for everybody. If you're not yet registered, please go grab your VIP seat and come on out. It is an event that I promise will change your life, especially if you're struggling with staff issues. And I know, so many people think like, Julie, I've been doing this for 5 years, for 10 years, for 15 years, for 20 years. But has anybody ever given you a step-by-step plan of action for managing, motivating, and retaining great staff? And we're going to go above and beyond this at the event. We're really looking at attracting, hiring, and retaining. And my mission is to help you be the childcare program of choice in your community who attracts the most amazing staff to you, where you have the secrets and nobody else does. And you know what? You don't have to share them. You can keep them all to yourself. You can let every other childcare program in your area be complaining about how there's no good staff out there, how the candidate pool has dried up, how it's really hard for the young staff to work with older staff, how we can't break our staff of using cell phones in the workplace. Let every other program in your community vent and complain and just drag out those issues. You, because you're here tuning into me, I believe in the law of attraction. I believe that you're attracted to tune into me for a reason. And I believe that it's for a special purpose, which is to help you take it to the next level. So I want you to be the childcare program in your community who looks at all the other childcare programs who have these issues going on saying, isn't that interesting? I don't have any of these issues. And maybe you don't have a problem getting staff members in through the door, but are they the right staff members? And if you've had long-term staff, are they motivated? Because that's another issue that we run into. Even if staff members have been with you for a very long time and you're very lucky in that regards, sometimes we don't have team members who are motivated in the workplace. So this is really your opportunity to sit back and evaluate this one key component of your childcare program being more successful. So it's all about, this show this evening is all about dealing with inappropriate work behaviors effectively. So if you're tuning in, go ahead and write down all of the inappropriate behaviors you're dealing with in your workplace. And I want to give you some simple steps that will help you just knock it out and, really deal with it in an effective manner. But you're also going to have to see, where do I have to up-level my mindset in order for me to be able to implement these steps and strategies that you're talking about? Because it's easy to say, okay, strategy 1, 2, 3, and 4 is this. But where we get stuck, and you can let me know if this relates to you, But where we get stuck is really in our mindset. It's about overcoming the fears that we're dealing with inside of our heads when it comes to dealing with staff issues. So if we're looking at inappropriate work behaviors, it really comes down to two things. It comes down to what kind of communication are you having? Are you confronting issues positively and directly? And number two, what are the consequences? So if you write down those two C's and you're able to follow through on those consistently, you're going to be steps ahead of the game when it comes to dealing with inappropriate work behaviors effectively. So communication, which includes confrontation, which is typically a word that we hate. But then also the second side of that equation is consequences. What are the consequences that you have in place so that team members know that there is going to be a result or a consequence to their behavior if they don't follow through on what you're asking? Now, with those two things being said, there are a lot of issues that we deal with that go on inside of our minds when it comes to communication and consequences. We have fears. And if you think about the fears that you're facing, go ahead and write those things down. And then I'll come back and read through some of the behaviors that you're writing down. But we've got fears, right? I mean, this is the childcare industry, and everything we hear tells us there's not enough. There's lack of people, there's lack of resources, there's lack of time. But I want to show you and take you into my world of it's possible. It's possible to totally transform and attract to you the right staff that you want to have in place. It's totally possible to overcome every single fear that you feel. And once you overcome your fears, then you're able to operate from a place of communication and consequences. But if you're always dealing with the fears inside of your head, they're going to stop you and trip you up every single time. Some of the fears have to do with lack. Well, if I say this to this staff person, what's she going to say? How is she going to react? How is she going to respond? Is she going to up and quit? Is she going to write a negative review? What's she going to do? And if you're relating to that fear, go ahead and say yes, yes, yes. All right. And if you found solutions and you can relate to what I'm saying too, please put those in the comments so that everybody can benefit, because I want our whole childcare community to be plugged into the things that can really help transform their childcare programs. Now, what I find happens most of the time is that when there are behaviors that we need to confront in the workplace, we deal with fears inside of our head, we don't confront, and we don't have consequences and consistent ways of dealing with things going on. So these behaviors continue and they set the protocol for the culture in our childcare program. So once you're able to communicate and have consequences, it's really easy to knock out inappropriate work behaviors. And I once did a whole audio program on cell phones, thongs, and dancing on tables, dealing with inappropriate work behaviors effectively. But these key strategies and ideas work. So now once you get to the place where you're dealing with fears in your head and you get stuck, it really turns into a venting session over and over and over and over and over and over and over about the same staff member, the same destructive behavior that you wish they would knock off. So it becomes what we were talking about last week, which was about communication barriers and staff demotivators. So if you missed that show, I encourage you to go to our YouTube station, and Jonna will pop that link in for you. Go to our YouTube channel and make sure you tune into some of the past shows that we've had on this topic. What happens in our organizations is that we have a lot of write-ups, reprimands, people getting in trouble. But sometimes this seems like an endless process. We have 27, write-ups. We have this many reprimands, but then there's still no consequence to the behavior. So let me ask you this. If you're at the point where you know you need to have communication and you know you don't have consequences, where do you stop inside of your mind? What is the fear that sets in, or what is the thought that sets in? And go ahead and list that in our comments. And I want to read through those with you. So when you stop because you don't have consequences in place, why is that happening? What's the thought you're thinking? What's the fear that you're facing? I want to see some of those comments come through, and I'm going to read some of the others here. Yep, coaching memos. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm just going to read through. Yes. So Julie says the fear of giving consequences comes with the fear of losing staff. Absolutely. I worry about being able to replace staff, says Susan here. Let me show that comment. That's true. That's a big concern for many people. Got to keep those ratios. Yes, Daphne. Hi, nice to see you here. All right. Let's see if we got anything else. Okay. Write-ups lead to no staff. Okay. 3 strikes and you are out, Mindy says. Oops. Okay. You need the staff. All right. So what are the fears? The fears are that you need the staff. The fears are that you're not going to be able to be in ratio. So there's all different kinds of things that come into the picture, right? Bad feedback spread throughout the staff. Absolutely. And we've had instances where staff members go online and they start sharing all kinds of destructive feedback. And I've basically had owners call me in tears saying, Julie, this one staff member and the gossip in the community absolutely destroyed our childcare program. So it's really a tough situation that you get into. It's like, I don't want to be dependent upon this one staff person, but if we're out of ratio and I don't want to go back into the classrooms, yes, staff turnover, absolutely. Follow the rules, the same line. Yeah. So there's all kinds of things that we're dealing with. All right. Bad for kids and families. Yes. Okay. Absolutely. All right. Okay. All righty. So, and feel free, like I said, to ask me questions as we progress through this show this evening. And remember, we have a prize for engagement and a prize for our community. So when we think about communication and consequences, all kinds of fear set into your mind. So what I encourage you to do is to really think about your actions. And when something becomes fear-based, write out all the fear-based thoughts that you're having. And I often talk and share my upside down V model, which basically says is that whenever we're making a decision in our childcare business, we're going to one side of the model or the other. One side is vision and the other side is fear. Let me see if I could draw a picture for you guys real quick. But this is my upside down V model. And I talked about it in different workshops. Should have had a marker here, but I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Okay. But on one side of the model is vision and the other side is fear. And I talk about this a lot. So basically it's an upside down V with vision on one side. Whoops, where is it? Vision. And then fear on the other side. So when we look at making decisions, we have to ask ourselves, are we making a visionary decision or are we making a fear-based decision? And most of us in this industry are making fear-based decisions. And when we make fear-based decisions, we start throwing Band-Aids on things. We start just putting Band-Aids and treating the symptoms because we don't want to deal with the root issue. And we're very smart. I know my audience and my viewers are very smart people, but we get stuck inside of our head saying, okay, I don't want to lose staff. I don't want a bad rap. So I can't really deal with this behavior the way that I need to. But I want you to start writing down every single decision that you're making. This is like your ongoing homework, and ask yourself the very important question, is this a fear-based decision I'm making or is this a visionary decision? Because when you're in the visionary mindset is going to dictate something very different than your fear-based mindset. And it all has to do with the thoughts that you think and the thoughts that you dwell on. So when you're in a visionary mindset, you're coming at things from the perspective of knowing and having faith that you could attract to you whatever you need when you need it. And I have this big belief about your vision. I believe that you have this vision for a reason, that God or the universe put it inside of you for a reason. Now, the universe, God would not put this inside of you if every single resource that you needed to fulfill this vision was not here. Do you agree with that? So they wouldn't say, oh, here's a vision. Good luck with this. We're going to give you the vision, but you're going to struggle with resources forever. Actually, it's not true. You have the vision for a reason because you've been blessed with a very specific purpose to change the lives of so many kiddos in your community or in the world. In order to do that, you need resources. But we listen so much to what everybody else is speaking about, we think that there is lack. So what if you put on your visionary cap right now and you said, no longer will I believe in lack. I'm only going to believe in abundance. And I'm going to open up my arms and say, I always attract amazing people. Because if you can't get over your fears, you're never going to deal with inappropriate work behaviors effectively because you're letting one staff member or one client determine if your childcare program is successful or not. Did you get that? So we never, ever, ever want to let our childcare program, our childcare business, our success in life be dependent upon one person. And I challenge you as much as possible to detach from people and have your loyalty be to the vision. So yes, we want to see our people grow. Yes, we want to see them accomplishing more, but your loyalty has got to be towards the vision and not your people. People are secondary, but too often our loyalty becomes to the people. And then when our loyalty is to the people, one person's mood can make us or break us. Can you relate to that? Give me an oh yeah in the comments if you can. So we let one person's mood make us or break us, but we have to learn how to constructively detach and be on fire, excited about the vision so we can focus on bringing that to life. And when our clients really engage in the activities with me to bring their vision to life, they see changes in their childcare programs happen very fast, very quickly. But the people who don't embrace the visionary aspect and hang on to the fears are the ones who are struggling with issues for 5, 10, 15, 20, 40 years. And then we look at the profitability that has dripped out of their pocket because of this. And some of our multi-site clients say that it's $14.5 million later when they come to work with us that has dripped out of their pocket because they were on the fear side of the equation. So we really want to release as many fears as possible. So when you're faced with a decision, when it comes to dealing with inappropriate work behaviors effectively, I want you to be asking yourself the question, am I dealing with this from a visionary perspective or from a fear-based perspective? So if we're looking at fears, that's where we are going to be stuck. So where do we start the process? Well, one of the things that you've got to do, and this is a deep teaching. So this is not a surfacey communication skill kind of teaching. Most of you have studied communication skills up the wazoo. Most of you could probably teach a class on communication. But where we get stuck is the mindset that prevents us from implementing the right communication skills because of our fears. And if I'm not accurate with this and this message isn't for you, you could let me know that in the comments too. I'm open to your feedback. But this is what I've seen over and over and over and over with the clients that we work with and the people who come on out to our workshops and our events, is that it's the fear where we get stuck. So what you first have to do, this is critically important, so I would write this down, is that you've got to consistently be up-leveling your mindset. Your mindset has to be like 10 paces ahead of your staff members. This means in order to work your mindset that you have a strong morning routine in place, you have a strong evening routine in place that helps you up-level your mindset and reach new levels of success. Now, one of the things, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to back up for a moment. And with me, if I can reach it. But, you know, some of it can be about getting yourself a journal, nice, fancy, pretty journal or manly journal for our men clients. But this is my new journal that I just started writing in today. I filled out 4 pages when I first woke up this morning. I took 2 hours to do my morning routine to expand my mindset. And then I'm going to be taking some time this evening before I go to bed as well. So that's part of my up-leveling my mindset. The other thing is reading books like As a Man Thinketh, very powerful. But you always want to be stretching your mindset to know that your thoughts really are determining and creating your reality. Now, does that mean that every single thought that you think is going to come true? Absolutely not. But it's got to be the thoughts that you think lined up with the feelings that you feel, because the feelings that you feel is really what's going to drive the results to you. It's the energy behind the intention that's going to get you the results. So that's why if you're watching like Mindy or Geraldine, Diana, work your mindset. And during my events, one of the things that we do is we have these power packs that we created. This one's a new one that I just bought. It's very sparkly. And what we do is we fill these up with power thoughts. And power thoughts are things that say, I always attract amazing people. And you think that thought, and then you sit in the energy of that thought for a while. So before your day begins, I want you to start thinking, I always attract amazing people. I want you to think about another power thought. I look forward to the perfect resolution of all conflicts and situations that arise today. So you start feeding yourself thoughts to reinforce the results that you would like to see. You start bringing them to life inside of your mind before you experience them in your reality. And that is a huge part to this. And this is not just a straightforward, do this as a reprimand, do this as a write-up, and here are 7 techniques for those. You've got to be up-leveling your mindset so that you're not dealing with the fears around confronting issues or having the communication or putting the consequences into place that you need to. You really have to get strong and know that you could attract people to you whenever you need them. You can attract money to you when you need it. You can attract resources to you when you need it. But if you're toggling and if you're saying those words but not really feeling the feeling, which is the critically important thing, that's where you're going to get derailed. So I really encourage you, get your own little power pack. This is just a power pack of index cards, and start writing down power thoughts that represent everything that you want to have happen in your life. I want you to reflect on those thoughts several times a day and embody the feeling. So that's critically important. So are you liking that tip? Is this resonating with you? If it is, give me an oh yeah. Take a little sip of my kombucha. So go ahead and give me an oh yeah if this is resonating with you. I've got lots more to share with you. And I'm just going to read back through some of the comments here. Power pack with sparkles. Oh, yes, Mindy, absolutely. With sparkles. Let's see, where did Mindy's comment go? Oh, there it is. We're getting a lot of oh, yes here. Let me click on comments. Okay, let me see. Okay, so we're getting an oh, yeah from Susan. Nice to see you here again. Mindy, yep, power pack with sparkles. And Mindy, isn't the world a little bit better when we put sparkles on everything? I'm very serious right now. In order to increase my energy for this show, I put on shoes with sparkles. You guys don't see what I'm wearing from my waist down, but I do have sparkly shoes on because I know it's going to change my energy. And that's what we always need to be doing, is shifting our energy. Remember, it's the energy behind the intention that's going to get you the result. It's the energy behind the intention. So keep that in mind. And it's the truth, because a lot of times we're even putting our help wanted ads out there, and we're putting those out there. We're desperate. We're afraid. Somebody just up and quit. Now is the time. We got to go put a help wanted ad out there. But that's not the time. The time is when your energy is at a high, whether it's after church, whether it's after you just wrote down something amazing, whether you just wrote down several power thoughts in your power pack. It's very important that you write those puppies down and just feel. So we get stuck because somebody says, they're not doing, somebody might come to you and say, oh, so-and-so's not doing their job. And you're like, oh man, that person's not doing their job again. How do I deal with that? But instead, what you want to do is, first of all, visualize and feel that the absolute right person is in that place doing an amazing job. See it inside of your mind first. Your reality is going to dictate some craziness. Your reality is going to dictate things that you need to deal with. But inside of your mind, you can totally come to a place of peace saying, this is how I want the resolution to be. This is what the perfect resolution is going to be like. You want to hold that energetic space, and then you want to have the confrontation. Now, I want to give you some secrets. Who's ready for secrets? Okay. If you are dealing with somebody and they come up to you and say, hey, so-and-so is not doing their job. Now, this is a huge issue in the childcare industry. They often come up to you and they say, it's the he said, she said game, right? And it's really hard to deal with, because how do you confront issues that you can't even see? So there's a couple things that we have to incorporate into our workplace culture. And this is once we're working the right mindset. But there's a couple things that we need to do. And one is to let your staff members know, hey, my role as your leader is to grow you, is to help you grow personally, to help you grow professionally. And what I would like to ask you are just a couple of questions to help us bring clarity to this situation. And you could use my words, or you could put it in your own words. You could shorten it, but I want to give you the philosophy behind what I'm saying. So when you confront the staff member, let's say they're coming up to you and they're saying, so-and-so's not doing their job, and I don't know what to do about it. We've talked to her 100 times. You could ask her, what ideally would you like to have happen in this circumstance or in this situation? Question one. The second question that you want to ask this person is, how can you take responsibility for seeing this result happen? So how can you take responsibility? What is it that you can do to bring this to life? And I really believe in creating an empowered culture. I think the word empowered should be one of your value words, because our value words drive our behaviors. So that's something critically important to understand, is our values drive the behaviors in our workplace. And if we don't have any values, it's going to be really hard to set standards for any kind of behaviors that we want to see transpire in the workplace. And if you're tuning into this and you're getting some golden nuggets, please write down what your golden nuggets are so other people will gain some insight from what you're getting as well. Okay. So you want to ask staff members, what ideally would you like to see happen? Then number two, how can you take responsibility for seeing that happen? Once your culture is stronger, what I want you to do is to have team meetings where your classrooms are getting together and they're talking issues through. You're going to have to moderate these at first. But what I want everybody to be asking each other is almost going around in a round table saying, what are our successes? What are the things that we've done successfully through this month? And then eventually I would like your team to be at the place where they could say to each other, go around a round table and just soak in the feedback, is to say, what is it that you would like me to do more of or differently so I can be successful in my role? Imagine if each one of your staff members was able to say that to another staff member who they worked with, and they were able to give each other honest and sincere feedback. How much would your team grow? All right, so I want you to think about that. So what's Geraldine saying here? Let me show some of these comments. Geraldine, okay, when someone complains to me about a peer, I tell them they have 24 hours to speak to their peer about the issue, or I will call them both together. All right, and I could tell you some pros and cons about that strategy, Geraldine. Most of the time in this situation, and you can let me know if I'm wrong, but if you're culturally not strong, most of the time in that situation, they will just brush the issue off and say that it's been resolved. And I've been called in to mediate childcare programs where there's been lingering issues, meaning there's been unresolved issues for 5, 10, 15 years, and it gets really ugly, especially when you're working with a team of women. One of our habits is to hang on to things, and not just women, men can do this too, but women habitually hang on to things more. So it's almost like we're keeping score inside of our heads about, oh, one person did this, one person didn't do this. We're keeping score. So we've got to culturally train our team that every single day brings forth the opportunity to wipe the slate clean and start fresh. And in these situations where leaders have told their staff, you've got time to work this out or go work it out, and an EYC ethical code of conduct is if you have an issue or challenge with a coworker, go and work it out directly with that person. Most of the time, it does not happen, and they will brush the issue under the rug and vent and complain and mumble about it underneath their breath. There's a couple different skills that we need to build in our organizations to really have strong team members who can come together and resolve conflicts and issues. And those skills are, number one, listening. Number two, confidence. We need to do confidence enhancing activities and to lay out confidence expectations so that your people are consistently raising their confidence levels in your workplace. And that's the foundational piece that's missing in many childcare programs for conflicts and issues to be resolved. So if you're relating to that, give me an, oh yeah. All right. So a lot of times, like I said, issues are just brushed under the rug, but they will come to you because they don't want to deal with it, saying, yes, 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 it's been resolved. And then I go in and I've privately consulted where I've confidentially interviewed every single member of childcare teams, from the cook to the bus drivers, to the teachers, assistant directors, directors, owners. And one thing that I find out over and over and over and over and over and over again is that people are brushing issues underneath the rug. And then we sit back as leaders because we're so crazy busy going, well, wait a second, why is that still an issue? I told them to get together and work it out. So if we, and that's good, Geraldine, I'm glad to see that you always follow up with both parties. That's fantastic. But keep in mind too, that a lot of times they can, still brush under the rug. So when you're doing your follow-up, and you may do this, Geraldine, when you're doing your follow-up, always be sure to ask, what is the resolution that you two came to? And document it. And we have a conflict resolution system here that we give to our clients. It's called our CRS, and we're going to be going over this at the Create My Dream Team experience. But it's a system that you put into place to help ensure that conflicts and issues are resolved successfully. So when you follow up with your staff, if you expect them to solve issues that they have on their own, number one, do they have the confidence to do so? Number two, do they have the skills set to do so? A lot don't. But when you're talking to your staff and you say you've got 24 hours to work this out, and I'm just using this as an example, Geraldine, but I would ask them, what are the specific steps that you're going to take to work this out? We may want to include procedures on this, because a lot of times they don't know how to get together. They don't know where to meet. They don't know where they could confidentially or how they can confidentially talk. So you want to make sure that you've got the processes worked out so that they know how to get together when there are conflicts. Where are they talking about their conflicts? Is it when kiddos are present? Is it when parents are present? Or is there a confidential space that you've created and a methodology that they can follow for getting together and having that conversation? Make sense? And with our conflict resolution system, it does involve a piece of documentation so that we can say, here's what the issue was, here were the steps that were taken, here was the resolution, and here's where we're at with this issue. And we use this for leaders with staff, staff members to each other, and even staff with parents when there's conflicts and issues that need to be resolved. So again, help empower your staff to take responsibility for the issue. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to show a few comments here. So Christ the King says, I usually into the next issue and don't find the time to document. And that is so true. But here's the really cool thing is that you can actually have your staff start documenting. So let's say you use a system like ours, the conflict resolution system. You could actually take this sheet of paper with the system on it. And before they meet together, it's part of your process that they write the issue down. And it's really important that they write the issue down, because then they could really identify, are they overreacting to something, or is there really an issue that needs to be resolved? So I would have both parties write the issues down and document as they work through the steps of your conflict resolution system. And then ta-da, it's all documented. It is all documented, and you don't have to go back and just document things. So empower your staff to do as much of the documentation as possible. All right, so let's see what Brandon has to say here. Oh, wait, did I have the wrong? Or wait, I think I had the wrong comment up. All right, so Brandon, I scribble notes all the time and then type them up to file. Okay, yeah, and use your voice recorders on your phone too, and then you could go back and remember. But there's so many things that transpire throughout the day that sometimes it's just super hard to go back and remember. All right, this was, I agree, honey. My team knows my expectations. Awesome, Geraldine. Sounds like you are doing some things really right. Let's see what Honeytree had to say. I think this was the comment I was showing before when I read somebody else's. I like to address things head on and immediately, and my staff know that I don't hold on to anything. I assume it is done once we have come to a resolution. Fantastic. All right. Go back. I'm just going to read through some comments. Yep. And Susan says confrontation is hard and uncomfortable. Yep. And Brandon says documentation is critical. All right. Let's see here. Okay. There's some good comments coming through. So we've covered, we're covering some good stuff. And like I said, as you get some ahas, please share those. And Jana is typing some in as well for everybody. But let me know. So let's hear what Deborah has to say. She says, most teams don't want to talk to each other. Most teams don't want to talk to each other they don't want to hurt the feelings or make people mad because they have to work with them every day and don't want that conflict every day. Deborah, this is absolutely 100% true. And one of the keys behind this is as you up-level your own mindset, you want to up-level your staff's mindset as well. And they really need training on emotional intelligence, on the art of not taking things personally, knowing that they could use their emotions to work with them instead of against them. So if they refuse to talk to each other, then they will just go on and on. All right, I'm reading comments come through. All right, Julie says, we mentor each staff member for 90 days and help build relationships between coworkers. We strive to make their communication open. However, it doesn't always work, but has definitely made huge changes in being able to keep staff. Relationships are important, more so than I ever realized until we started the mentor program. 100%. And this is true for your business success as well as for your success with your staff, is that with relationships, everything is easy. Without relationships, everything becomes incredibly difficult. So absolutely. So let me know, where is it that you get stuck when it comes to dealing with inappropriate work behavior? So we've got a great group on this evening. It's so good to see everybody here. Where is it that you get stuck? So if you had a burning question for me on the process, what is your question? So list your questions below, and I want to see if I could personalize some of the show to really hit home on the questions that you have so that tomorrow you've got a new skill set. So think about, where do you get stuck with dealing with inappropriate work behaviors effectively? Because if you still have inappropriate work behaviors that are going on, whether it's absenteeism, tardiness, conflicts, drama, negativity, all those kind of issues, then there are still things that you need to put into place to deal with those effectively. Think about communication, think about consequences, think about where the process is falling short for you. And a lot of times from a marketing perspective, we say that the fortune is in the follow-up. The same is true with your staff. There has to be follow-up. And this is where most experts will say leaders drop the ball, is that we address the issue once, we think it's done, we think it's resolved, and then it's like we forget about it, but then it's like the same issue happens again, whether it's a week later, 2 months later, 6 months later, or a year later. So make sure that you have a follow-up plan of action into place. And in our campus, we have a whole system that's called our Opportunity for Growth system. And we talk about this in our total team transformation system, which is our at-home system that we have, or we'll be talking about it at our event. And John, if you can make sure that you give everybody the total team transformation link, just in case they want to get that system. So what are the questions that you have? So I need help with teachers not buying into how we need to do things. Okay, that's a good one. What else do we have here? I always tell staff it's not personal. Okay, I need to start a mentoring program. Okay. All right, let me know your burning questions. We've got a little bit of time left. We'll probably go for about 15 more minutes. And I'll entertain your questions here. So I need help. Unnecessary call-ins, yep. I always tell staff, this is an interesting one, JC. I love this comment that you're making. I always tell staff it's business, not personal. But you know what the problem is that most people don't know how to separate those two. Most people will think, well, it is personal. It's about me. It is personal. It's something I'm not doing. So then the issue becomes, well, how do you explain it to your staff in a way that they will digest it, to know that it's not personal, and how to not take things personally? Because quite honestly, it was something that I had to learn for like years about how not to take things personally. And part of it comes with detaching, but then the other part of it comes from understanding that how people perceive their world is a direct reflection of the thoughts that they're thinking. And that's how, in terms, if somebody has an issue with you, it's not necessarily you. It's just that you are there triggering a certain response in them. So there's a whole training that your team can undergo to really understand the art of not taking things personally, because it is a true art that needs to be mastered. All right. So let's take a peek here. I think we had a question coming in from Honeytree. So what does the follow-up look like? What does the follow-up look like? Well, the follow-up looks like, basically, I would lay it out in a series of increments in terms of how much time are you giving people to make behavioral changes happen. And I'll never forget the story that I heard from Carol Burnett, where she said one time Harvey Korman was coming into work, and he wasn't very happy. And he was on the Carol Burnett show, wildly successful, and he was not happy. And she called Harvey Korman into her office, and she says, you know what? We need to have a conversation about this, because it's really impacting the morale here, and it's impacting the show. And I need you by this coming Monday, 3 days, it was Friday, to come in singing a happy song, or we're going to have to part ways, something of that nature. So she called him in. They had a confrontation, and he was a huge star on the show, but she put her fears aside. And she said 3 days later, Monday morning, Harvey Korman actually came through the workplace whistling and singing and had a totally different energy about him. And she knew that going forward, it was going to work. But it was a direct confrontation issue. And the follow-up was, number one, we set a very specific date for the behavioral changes we want team members to make. So are you going to give them 30 days? Are you going to give them 40 days? Are you going to give them 45 days? And then you list out the baby steps that you need to be seeing in increments. So if you say, I need to see this from you in 60 days, I would break it down into smaller pieces, especially with our younger staff. They want to be part of the big picture, but they have problems breaking things down into smaller, achievable increments. So, and this is true for anybody, but more so with our younger staff. But you really want to make sure that when you're looking at your follow-up plan of action, that you're saying, okay, here's what I need to see from you in 60 days. And if at the end of 60 days, this does not happen, here's what is going to happen. And then you break it down into 2-week increments or 3-week increments and saying, okay, in order to get here, here's the growth that I need to see in you. So you come up with a progressive plan of action for growth and change with documentable steps. And you schedule little mini meetings in there to touch base and follow up. And then you also have a very specific question that you ask when you set these goals in place. You ask team members, what support do you need from me to make this happen? And if they say none, you document that and say, okay, no support needed. And this is all part of our opportunity for growth system that we put into place with teams. But you say none, okay, document it. If they say, yes, I need support, you say, great, what support do you need from me? Well, maybe I'd like to go to a training class. Maybe I'd like to do this. And maybe you've got some ideas for how you can support this person achieve this goal. So your role is to coach your team for growth. It's to coach them for growth. So how effective of a coach are you being in the workplace for your team members? And I would not rely on another staff member to be somebody's coach, even if you've got a mentor program in place, unless you know that they're incredibly strong with really being the support system that's going to bring about results. So that's really important. Another thing with confidence is to make sure that you are up-leveling your own confidence, meaning you are doing things every single day that make you feel uncomfortable so that you could get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's how you grow as a leader, is like when you don't feel like confronting somebody, that's when you have that confrontation. And if you don't like the word confrontation, change it. Instead, use the words positive, direct communication. Make sense? All right. What are your ahas that you're getting from this? So let me just scroll through some of the comments here. Developmental plans are awesome. Absolutely, Geraldine. Okay, I use the principles of the 6 Ps. Okay, I often ask, how can we get this done? Okay, good comments. All right. So if there are burning questions, and Honey Tree, did that help? I hope that helped a little bit, but that's what the follow-up looks like, is that we want to have a series of steps, a series of dates, small touch-in points, but then a consequence in place. Now, a lot of people get stuck around the consequence thinking, oh, does that mean that I have to fire? It doesn't mean that you have to fire somebody, but what it does mean is that you've got to have a consequence and you have to stick to it. And this is where leaders have a little bit of a challenge too, is because we make a commitment, we don't follow through on it. We're afraid to put things on our calendar because we might not follow through and meet the deadlines. So we've got to really practice meeting deadlines for ourselves and then bump it up to where we are meeting deadlines for our staff. So have those consequences in place, put them in your calendar, use an electronic calendar system. If you're multi-site, think about a project management system. But this is the way to change behaviors. And it's really important to know that people may not grow under your leadership. This is critically important to know. You've got to set the boundaries in place for yourself on what you're willing to tolerate, with the knowing that they may not grow under your leadership. They may grow underneath somebody else's, and that has to be perfectly fine. But it all doesn't have to be underneath your leadership. And you've got to detach from the feelings of you're doing something wrong or something not right once you follow the steps to bring about change to your childcare program. So you've got to detach from like, it was me, they left because whatever, or they didn't follow through on this, or I couldn't save the person. And that's one big thing why we hang on to destructive behaviors for too long, is because we're trying to save people. We're trying to change people. And once we grasp the idea that we cannot change people, we cannot save people typically. Once we grasp onto those ideas, we will put into place action steps to help them grow. And then if they have to move on from our organization, we detach from it and we release them with love. And we say, yes, we couldn't do it here, but hopefully at the next place where you work, you're going to knock somebody's socks off, but it's not underneath my leadership. And you have to be okay with releasing people who do not serve your vision. And this is the place to start. The place that I started having this conversation with you tonight was about vision and fear, my upside down V model that we're going to be going into extensively at the Childcare Business Success Conference. At the Create My Dream Team Experience, wrong event, at the Create My Dream Team Experience. But we're going to be looking at that upside down V model to determine, is this fear decision or is this vision? So when we talk about getting our staff to buy into behavioral changes we want them to make, whether you have a staff member who's in the closet using their cell phone, or a staff member who's wearing their thong and it's hanging out of their jeans, or a staff member who's yelling stop to the children in the hallways, whatever it might be, you've got to start bringing your vision to life. And they've got to be more bought into the vision than they are to your fears. But if you're feeling your fears and you're thinking your fears, that's what they're going to be bought into. So we really want to back this up and say, okay, how do I expand and grow the vision every day? How do I get them on board and excited about this vision? And let me hide this. And how do I keep it expanding and growing? And this is the part where a lot of times we really let go or let the ball drop with our vision, is that it's not growing, it's not expanding. We write it down once and that's it. But every single day, as a leader in this industry, it is our opportunity to exclaim the words that if one child misses out on the opportunity to be impacted by your brilliance today, they are missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime. And I would not have your vision be that we are set to be the best childcare program in our community, or we are set to do this. It has to be something that you are emotionally attached to, that really engages a community of followers. And if you struggle with this piece, I encourage you to shoot me a private message or tag Jana in a comment and get on my calendar for discovery session so that we can just brainstorm for like 20 minutes about how to bring your vision to life so that you've got an engaged community of followers. And studies show that on average, 62% of all employees are actively disengaged on a daily basis, meaning they're always thinking about different opportunities. So this means that we have to try even harder to engage them with our vision. And it really doesn't take much. It actually can be very simple. And it's just about you being alive and engaged with it daily. And I've been on site with childcare teams where they're able to recite the vision in unison. Our vision is to create an educationally, mentally stimulating environment for the young children. What does it mean? So again, it's not the words that are in the vision. It is the feeling behind the vision. It's the feeling that's behind it. And are your people emotionally connected? Because one of the most powerful interview questions that you can ask people is, how is our vision important to you? What strengths and qualities and characteristics do you possess that are going to help me bring our vision to life? And I would write down those 2 interview questions and ask them over and over and over and over again. But you cannot ask those interview questions if the vision is not alive and expanding and growing. And the vision not only serves yourself for your own motivation levels, it serves your staff, and it also serves your clients. And I've had some of our mentorship members where they bring the vision to life and they get like 36 enrollments. Mary, 36 enrollments in 3 weeks. Once you get that part right. It's hard work from a mindset perspective, but from an action-taking perspective, it becomes easy the more that you do it. And remember, people buy on emotions. Your staff buy your vision based on their emotions. Your clients or prospective clients buy your childcare program based upon the emotional connection that they feel with you. If the emotional connection is null and void and you're just selling them on facts and features, you're going to probably experience turnover in a short amount of time from staff or from your clientele. So we've got to be creating that emotional engagement. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me an oh yeah, Julie. I've got a little more for you before we wrap up. And take another 5 minutes, and then we've got our prize winners to announce. How do you guys like this later time? Is this working for everybody? But if you're liking this, I mean, oh yeah. All right. I'm never fond when it starts getting dark out so early. So it's good to be able to have this in the evening and we could all come together and just chat through some issues. Awesome. Kara, nice to see you. Hey. All right. Which reminds me, Kara reminds me, Jana, that I don't think we ever sent brownies out to everybody who posted pictures from our last leadership intensive. So please put that on my to-do list that we've got to follow up with brownies for everybody. All right. Love the time. Great. Oh, yeah. So I'll just post some of these comments. Then I've got a couple more things I'm going to give to you. Yep. Okay. Love the time. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you, in conclusion here, before we wrap up, a strategy once you're bringing the vision to life of what you can do when you catch people in the midst of inappropriate work behaviors. Would anybody out there benefit from this? I'm going to share that with you, but I think I'm going to reveal our prize winners first, and then I'm going to come back and share this with you. How does that sound? So I'm going to mix it up a little bit without my Chief of Happiness, Loretta, being here this evening. So what do you think? So I'm going to announce our prize winners, and I'm going to just check over here to see the message that Jana has shot over to me. Ooh, we have a marketing video winner. Awesome. How about a brownie winner, Jana? I know we're not totally done yet, but it's our brownie winner. So I'll go ahead and announce our... Yeah, Jana says it's very tough. We've had a lot of engagement for this show. And if there are specific questions, I don't want to leave you with questions, but if you have specific questions, please, please, please make sure you leave them for me in the comments, and I will come back and read those, or maybe we'll do another show and just break it down with the questions that you're asking, okay? All right. Oh, Nice, nice. Okay, so we have a brownie winner. And I want to let you know too that we pick these winners based on who we feel is the most engaged. So we're not keeping a checklist. We're doing the best that we can. So please know that when you win, we're doing the best that we can. And we hope that everybody is winners. And make sure you come on over to our childcare business success community. Share this out with your other director groups so that we can really benefit more programs. And remember, I've got a juicy tip coming up for you on what you can do if you catch people in the act of destructive behaviors. I'm going to share that with you, but I am going to announce our winners. So for our marketing video for being our most engaged community member, I need a drum roll. Can everybody do a drum roll with me? Here we go. Ready? Okay, so our marketing video winner is Sarah Simpson. Congratulations, Sarah. Jana will get you a prize claim form. And then I'm going to announce our brownie winner as well. And then I've got another juicy tip I'm going to share with you before we wrap up this evening show. But this is a hot topic, right? I mean, this is something we're all struggling with. And it's something that can make us have burnout in this industry, can help us have stress. And we really want to feel rejuvenated. We are in one of the most profound industries in the world. This is something that, robots will never, ever, ever replace you or your staff hugging, educating, and inspiring those kiddos. But just as we're changing the lives of the kiddos, we've gotta realize that we're also changing the lives of the people who come into our energetic zone who work for us by working for us. So these are people who are also changing their lives. And they may have been mismanaged in the past. They may not have had a good supervisor. And I'll tell you more stories as we progress with the Childcare Business Success Show in future episodes. But so many people are mismanaged. So it's not necessarily an opportunity to go back and say, okay, everybody's fired as a consequence. It is the opportunity to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, how do I manage better? And we have to remember that leadership is more about being, less about doing. It's about who are we being from the top down of our organizations. And if you really want some help with this, I encourage you to come on out to the Create My Dream Team experience. Go to rockmychildcare.com, like rock my baby. Come on out and join us and be part of the 2-day experience. It's October 7th and 8th in the Boston area with a special owners only session the morning of the 9th. You don't want to miss it. We're going to be talking about our sparkly power packs to help you really drive home 2018 so that you get the results that you desire and most importantly deserve. Okay, brownie winners before my last tip for the evening. Who's ready? Okay. All right. So our brownie winner for this evening, it was a tough call, Jana said, but we had, lots of interaction this evening. So thank you all so much for that. And like I said, please share this show out. We want to end the struggle. We want to eliminate the super problem that plagues this industry, which is staff motivation and issues surrounding staff motivation. So the winner of this evening's brownies for the most engagement, congratulations to our participant, our viewer, Jerry Lynn Weber. Congratulations. You've got a pack of the most yummiest brownies coming to you. I hope you enjoy them, but it was a toss-up. Susan was very interactive. Brandon was very interactive. So there's just a lot of interaction going on this evening, but tonight's winner we're claiming is Geraldine Weber. And please allow at least 30 days for you to receive your prize. We try to get them out as soon as possible, but sometimes due to circumstances or mailings, they do take a little bit of time. Jana will be in touch with a prize claim form. And if you haven't heard from her, you may feel free to tag her in a comment to get those brownies. All right, I got one final tip I'm going to share with you. Who's ready? So we were talking about vision and talking about inappropriate work behaviors. And when we talk about inappropriate work behaviors, bringing the vision to life is one of the most critical things that you can do. So what we want to do is once that vision is alive and growing and expanding, what you want to be able to do is work in the question, if you catch your staff doing something inappropriately, using their cell phone in a closet, using their cell phone in the bathroom, tucking their cell phone into their bras, things that you just necessarily know that they're doing, gossiping, complaining, drama, dressing inappropriately, whatever it might be. What I want you to do is to have a visionary conversation with that person, meaning ask them, how is this behavior that you're currently displaying contributing to our vision coming to life? Because you know that one child, it can be shortchanged out of the opportunity of a lifetime to be here with our childcare program if we're not actively engaged with them, if we're not sharing our brilliance of who we are, because all it takes is 1 minute to change a kiddo's life forever. So the strategy that I'm sharing with you as we wrap up the show is to keep in mind that once your vision is alive and it's growing and expanding, you could drive home the point of, how does this behavior contribute to our vision expanding? Or how does this behavior take away from our vision? And once you inspire team members to think or empower them to think, they will come up with the answers on their own, and they will know why these behaviors are so unacceptable in the workplace. And then the follow-up question to this is our vision important to you? Or you can even ask this question first: is our vision important to you? And if they say yes, then you say, great, well, I want to ask you a really important question. How is this behavior that you're currently displaying, currently exhibiting, contributing to our vision coming to life? Then you be silent and you listen and you just look them in the eyes and you wait, which is the hardest part, because you want to share your brilliance, but you've got to let your brilliance be reflected in the questions that you ask and not in the answers that you give. This is critical. Let your brilliance be reflected in the questions that you ask, not in the answers that you give. So when you sit there and you ask them that question and you look at them in their eyes, you wait for a response. And one of the most valuable things that you could do is to really see how your team members think, because your team will only be so strong if their thinking is not to where it needs to be. So if they're not thinking that much, they're not empowered to think, or it's not up to the level, then you know, hey, this is not a dreamy team member. This is somebody who I'm going to have to replace. So you open up your arms and you say, I always attract amazing people. And then you put your favorite song on for a few minutes. You get up and dance, or you sing, and you write the best help wanted ad you've ever written. And you come from a visionary place, not from a fear-based place that is going to transpose or transpire your wishes into results. So it's really going to take the results that you're getting to a whole new level once you change the energy behind the intent. Now, I feel like that whole last statement was a huge, huge mouthful. Would you agree? Was that some good stuff? I really encourage you to come back, re-listen to this over and over and over again, and use it to propel yourself to a whole new level of growth. I want to congratulate our prize winners this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you tonight. And I'm going to just look at what some of our comments are before we wrap up. All right. Yay, I'm back. Yay, Geraldine. Awesome. Congratulations. A prize winner this evening. Love the suggestion. Thank you, Christ the King. All right, Brandon, great topics covered tonight, Julie. Thank you. You are so welcome, Brandon. Am I seeing you in Boston? I sure hope so. Okay. Let's see. JC says, great thought-provoking idea. Honey Tree. Thanks, Julie. I appreciate your time. This is exactly what I needed. You are so welcome, Honey Tree. All right. Critical, here's Brandon. Critical, put the question to them to answer. All right. And Diana says, congratulations, Sarah and Geraldine. And Diana will be joining us in Massachusetts, I believe. Diana, are you coming in from Texas? I think so. All right. Oh, and Loretta. Hey, our Chief of Happiness is here. Loretta, nice to see you here. All right. She says, woohoo, congrats. The brownies are delicious. Loretta's been tuning in and commenting behind the scenes. All right. So I am going to, on that note, wrap up our show for this evening, and I hope you've really enjoyed it. All right, Geraldine, thanks so much. He says, love this tonight. Thanks for your time. You are so welcome. And we're going to just kind of test the waters on different times. You know, we're saying right now, tentatively 6:30. We may move that a little bit later. You're welcome. Lindsay says, thank you. You are so welcome. And really digest these strategies. And I also want to remind you that repetition is the key to success. So a lot of times we think, hey, Julie, I intellectually grasp that concept, but you don't really know it until you implement it and you change something in your program because of it. Then once you change it, you come back and you listen to it again, and then you change up something else. So if you think you've heard it once, don't go down that rabbit hole. Empty your cup and say, okay, what can I do that's fresh and new and exciting? And I tell you what, mentors, have coaches. Oprah Winfrey has coaches and mentors, right? And she's always going back, listening to the same thing, trying to grasp a new idea. And there are multimillionaires and billionaires who do the same philosophy. Practice it over and over and over again, is listening to the same idea. What's that key concept I could grasp that I didn't grasp before? And I'm always looking for that new thing that I could get, even if it's a program that I've heard 100 different times. All right, so we're going to wrap up. A couple last comments here. Diana saying thank you. She's coming in from New Hampshire. Awesome, Diana. And remember, tell everybody about our Create My Dream Team experience. If you love the content that I shared with you this evening on the show, you are going to love being there with me live in person, whether you love to dance or not, right, Brandon? So you don't have to be a dancer. You don't have to be a kombucha drinker, but we're going to have a blast as we put our plans of action into place to manage, motivate, and retain great staff. I want to help you attract, retain, hire, motivate your dreamy staff. And I invite you to spend 2 amazing days with me as we put together our step-by-step plan of actions that are going to position you for tremendous growth. I can't wait to be there, and I hope you'll come out and join us. Jonna will pop the link below. I know Susan's going to be there. Diana's going to be there. So we've got several folks who are tuning in who are going to be there, and we're going to be expanding upon this. And like I said, this is the super problem. And my mission, I shared with you another mission earlier, but it's really to help you fall madly in love with every aspect of how you manage your childcare program so that your life, personally and professionally, does indeed become dreamy. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. Please at least come and check out the Create My Dream Team Experience page. Read through the bottom where the testimonials are so that at least you can make the decision if it's going to benefit you, if it's going to be of value to you or not. I'm Julie Bartkus, workplace transformationalist and best-selling author of Childcare Business Success. And this is one of my absolute favorite topics. I hope you've gained some tremendous information from it this evening. And I will see you very soon. If you're not part of our community, come over to the community page. And I hope to see you in Boston. Good night, everyone. Thanks for being here. Oh, and if you're tuning into the replay, still leave your questions, leave your comments. I will come back and read through. Bye. Talk to y'all soon.